Hi, Verl Workman here, and welcome to Workman Wisdom. Workman Wisdom is our monthly blog where every single week we're going to come out and we're going to share with you tips, tricks, ideas, and strategies to create a seven-figure income. At Workman Success Systems, we help literally hundreds of agents take their businesses from $100,000 a year to $1 million, $1.5 million, even $2 million a year in gross closed income. Well, how do we do that? We do it by teaching them how to think differently about their business, how to think strategically, and how to plan for the future. So Happy New Year. As we jump into 2017, our topic for this month is focus on the future. And so how do we get you to focus on the future? Well, it all begins by creating what I like to call is a strategic plan. Some call it a business plan. There's a lot of different elements in a business plan, but it all comes down to the very beginning of understanding who you are, where you've been, and where you want to go. And so I want to talk for just a minute about income goals and how we get from where you are today to another level strategically. And so first I want you to think about this. First I want you to think in your mind, okay, what your income goal is. Let's just come up with an income goal. I'm going to use the number of, let me just go to my marker right here and I'll put it on the board. I'm going to use the number of $100,000. Now, for some of you, you're thinking $100,000 a month. Now I said, let's just do $100,000 a year to start, and then we'll talk about what $100,000 a month looks like. But $100,000 a year in income. So what most agents will do is they'll take their number of $100,000 and they'll say, okay, so my average commission is $5,000, so I need to do 20 transactions in order to hit $100,000. And so I'm going to put next to that $5K for average commission and $20,000, or sorry, 20 transaction sides per month. Sorry, that's per year in order to hit $100,000. So in order to get to your $100,000, you need to do 20 transaction sides. So let's do the math on that. So divide 20 by 12 months. It's a little bit less than 2 per month. So it's like 1.5 transactions a month. So is it realistic if you're full-time in real estate and your primary job is to prospect and to show or list properties and negotiate contracts, and you spend all your time doing those 3 things, that you can do a deal and a half a month? I think the answer to that is absolutely. If you can't do a deal and a half a month, then I want you to go back and look at what you spend your day doing. Because if you're not listing or showing houses, you should be prospecting. And if you're not prospecting, what you're doing instead is what I like to call fake work. And so we have to eliminate all the fake work from your life and get down to the activities that generate real revenue. So 1.5 transactions a month, 20 transactions a year will get you to $100,000. If you wanted your number to be $200,000, there's a couple different things you could do. One of the things you could do is you could change your commission amount from $5,000 to $10,000 and work more expensive houses. So just by doubling the average sales price of the house you're selling, it would double your income. The other thing you could do is you could change your 20 to 40 transactions. So you do 40 transactions a year. Now you're doing about 3.5 transactions a month instead of 1.5 transactions a month. So it's just math. And once we figure out what the math is, then I'm going to show you a system that I use right now to guarantee that you'll hit your income goal. All right, are you ready? So the first thing I want you to do is you do your income goal. That's 1.5 transactions a month. And I'm going to ask you to develop what I like to call my 4 pillars of income. So the 4 pillars of income are the 4 specific things that you're going to focus on this year that will generate 1.5 transactions a month. Now, this is where it's a little bit different than what most people will teach. Instead of saying I'm going to have 4 pillars and each one should be able to do 25% of that, I'm going to ask you to develop 4 pillars of income, and each pillar has to be able to generate 100% of your transaction goal. So in pillar number 1, you've got to be able to do 1.5 transactions there per month. In pillar number 2, 1.5 transactions. Pillar number 3, 1.5, and pillar number 4, 1.5. And so what you end up with is you end up with 4 times the number of transactions you actually need to hit your goal. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but let me show you what that looks like. So let's just say I'm going to give you the first pillar. So the first pillar is in the center. We call this your sphere of influence, or your relationships, the people that you know, your database. The average person knows over 200 people well. Average person knows over 200 people well. We know that about 10% of your database will move every year. That's right there. That's 20 transactions. So if all you did is work your database really well and got the 20 transactions there, you could generate 100% of your goal, or 1.5 transactions. Now in another session, we'll talk about some specific things you can do to generate more business from your sphere, but 20 transactions out of your sphere is a low number. So let's just say that that's 1.5. That's one of our pillars of income. Now let's come up with some other ones. What are some other ways that you can generate revenue or you can generate leads? We can prospect for sell by owners and expired listings. We can do geographic farming. We can work our social media channels. We can do online paid web services like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Homes.com and Boomtown, Commissions Inc. There's so many of them that are out there that do a really good job. So you can do pay advertising. So I'm going to identify a second one. A second one would be, I'm going to call this my geographic farm. A third one is going to be online. And that's going to include, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Agent Gen, any of those high volume lead generators. And then the fourth one I'm going to do is open houses. Now, if we were to make a list of all of the things you could do to generate revenue, I could come up with 30 or 40 different lead sources. But all I'm going to allow you to focus on this year is four pillars of income. The next step, once you've identified your 4 pillars, is to develop an action plan of what activities you're going to do every single day in each one of the 4 pillars. And you have to work all 4 pillars as if it's the only thing you're going to focus on. So if you hit 100% here, and 100% here, and 100% here, and 100% here, what are you going to end up with? You're going to end up with somewhere between 60 and 80 transaction sides this year. And what happened to your $100,000 goal? You just blew it away. So the first thing I want you to do is you focus on the future, is I want you to sit down and I want you to develop 4 very specific pillars of income and work each one as if it's the only one you're going to do all year. And I promise you that this Workman Wisdom will make the biggest impact in your business this year.